Attraction doesn't start where most people think it does. It doesn't begin with looks, money, or smooth words. It begins in the emotional nervous system, and that's where the dark side lives. Here's the first uncomfortable psychological fact. People are often more attracted to how you make them feel than who you actually are. This means attraction can grow even when the person isn't good for them. Why? Because the brain confuses emotional intensity with emotional connection. That's why drama, distance, and unpredictability can feel addictive. Not healthy, but powerful. Second dark truth. Attraction is fueled by dopamine, not logic. Dopamine spikes when something is uncertain, delayed, or inconsistent. So, when someone pulls back, replies late, or becomes emotionally unpredictable, the brain doesn't relax, it obsesses. This is why people chase mixed signals, not because they're weak, because their brain is reacting, not thinking. Now listen closely to this one. Being too emotionally available too fast can reduce attraction. Not because availability is bad, but because the brain hasn't had time to earn the reward. When everything is given upfront, attention, reassurance, loyalty, the emotional value drops. This is where many people get confused and hurt. They do the right thing, but attraction doesn't grow, it fades. Next psychological reality most people never talk about, attraction often follows power dynamics, not fairness. The person who needs less approval usually has more influence. The one who is more emotionally dependent often loses leverage. This doesn't mean you should play games. It means you must protect your emotional center. Because once someone feels they have emotional control over you, respect quietly starts to disappear. Here's a darker layer. Some people are attracted to validation, not connection. They don't want you, they want how you make them feel about themselves. The attention, the ego boost, the reassurance. And once they get it consistently, the attraction drops because the need is already satisfied. This is why understanding attraction psychology protects you. It helps you see whether someone is drawn to you or addicted to the feeling you provide. Now, here's something subtle but powerful. Mystery isn't manipulation, it's psychological space. When someone doesn't fully know you, their brain stays engaged. But when you over-explain, overshare, and overprove, you remove that space and attraction weakens. Healthy attraction grows when there's curiosity, not when everything is emotionally exposed too soon. If this is making sense so far, you'll want to stay connected to this channel, because most people never learn this until after they've been hurt. Subscribing isn't about notifications, it's about training your awareness before damage happens. Now let's go even deeper. The brain sometimes confuses anxiety with chemistry. Butterflies, that nervous feeling, that intense pull, it's often mild stress, not love. Your body is reacting to emotional uncertainty, not emotional safety. This is why calm, stable people can feel boring at first, and emotionally chaotic people feel exciting. But excitement fades, patterns remain. And here's the most dangerous part of attraction's dark side. Once attraction is tied to emotional pain, people mistake suffering for depth. They think if it hurts, it must mean something. No, it means your nervous system is activated, not fulfilled. Real connection doesn't confuse you. It doesn't drain you. It doesn't keep you guessing where you stand. Attraction becomes dark when you abandon self-respect to maintain it. And that's exactly where most people lose themselves. Here's where attraction turns from natural to dangerous. The brain rewards emotional inconsistency more than emotional stability, at first. When someone gives you attention, then withdraws it, your brain releases more dopamine trying to win it back. That's not romance, that's conditioning. This is why people stay attached to situations that don't feel good anymore. They're not chasing the person, they're chasing the emotional high they used to feel. Another uncomfortable fact. Attraction weakens when your identity collapses into the relationship. The moment someone becomes your main source of confidence, purpose, or happiness, you stop being attractive psychologically. Why? Because attraction needs contrast. Two complete individuals create tension. One complete person and one dependent person create imbalance. Now, pay attention to this. People respect what has boundaries. When someone knows you'll tolerate anything just to keep them, their subconscious mind stops valuing you. Not because they're evil, but because human psychology equates boundaries with self-worth. This is why saying no calmly can increase attraction more than saying yes emotionally. Here's a darker layer most won't admit. Some people are attracted to control, not connection. They feel powerful when someone adjusts their behavior, mood, or standards for them. If attraction grows when you shrink, that attraction is toxic. Healthy attraction grows when both people stay whole. Another psychological trap. Trying to be chosen makes you less choosable. When your energy says, "Please pick me," it communicates lower perceived value. But when your energy says, "I'm here, but I'm not desperate," the dynamic flips. Attraction is less about convincing and more about allowing. Now, here's something subtle and important. Confidence isn't loud, it's emotionally unmoved. People are drawn to those who don't panic when attention drops, don't chase when energy shifts, and don't explain themselves to feel secure. That calm emotional center signals strength at a primal level. And this is where most people fail. They react instead of respond. They chase clarity instead of creating space. They seek reassurance instead of maintaining self-respect. If you've ever wondered why pulling back sometimes increases attraction, this is why. It's not manipulation, it's psychological balance. Quick reminder, this channel isn't about tricks or games. It's about understanding the mind mechanics behind attraction so you don't lose yourself trying to be wanted. If this perspective is hitting differently, you already know staying subscribed keeps you ahead of emotional mistakes most people repeat for years. Now let's go even deeper. Attraction dies when predictability replaces presence. Not routine, predictability. Routine can be grounding. Predictability removes curiosity. When someone knows exactly how you'll react, exactly what you'll tolerate, exactly how available you are, the emotional tension fades. That's why maintaining your own life, goals, and rhythm isn't selfish, it's attractive. And here's the hardest truth of all. You don't maintain attraction by trying harder, you maintain it by staying aligned with yourself. The moment attraction costs you peace, self-respect, or emotional clarity, it's no longer attraction, it's attachment. Here's the part most people get wrong. They think the only way to protect themselves is to become cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable. That's not strength, that's armor. And armor blocks connection as much as it blocks pain. Real attraction lives in emotional availability with boundaries, not detachment. The strongest people don't shut down. They stay open without surrendering themselves. Now listen carefully to this psychological truth. Emotional self-control is more attractive than emotional intensity. Anyone can feel deeply. Few people can feel deeply without reacting impulsively. When you don't rush to fix tension, don't demand explanations, don't over-communicate your fear, you signal inner stability, and inner stability creates trust. Another dark fact about attraction: people test emotional strength before they trust emotional depth, not consciously, instinctively. They pull back, they say something uncertain, they delay, they observe. They're not always trying to hurt you. They're asking, does this person collapse when pressure shows up? If you pass that test calmly, attraction deepens. If you panic, over-explain, or chase, respect weakens. Now here's something powerful. You don't need to win attraction back. You need to stop leaking it. Every time you overinvest early, ignore red flags, sacrifice standards to keep interest, stay when your needs aren't met, you teach people how to treat you, and attraction follows that lesson. Here's a subtle shift that changes everything. Instead of asking, "Do they like me?" ask, "Do I like how I feel around them?" That question puts you back in your center. Attraction thrives when both people feel chosen, not when one person feels evaluated. Now let's talk about mystery, but not the fake kind. Mystery isn't silence. Mystery is depth not fully revealed. You don't need to hide who you are, you just don't need to explain everything immediately. People are drawn to what unfolds naturally. This is why oversharing kills curiosity, explaining your worth weakens it, proving yourself drains attraction. Let your presence speak first. And here's the quiet truth most never hear. The more you try to control attraction, the less control you actually have. Attraction responds to authenticity, not strategy. If you're becoming someone you don't recognize just to keep interest, the connection will fail anyway. The goal isn't to be irresistible. The goal is to be grounded, because grounded people don't chase energy, they allow it to come toward them. Quick pause here. If you're still listening, this channel is for people who want depth without manipulation, confidence without arrogance, and attraction without losing themselves. Staying subscribed keeps you sharp in a world full of emotional confusion. Now, before we end, there's one final psychological truth, the one that decides whether attraction lasts or collapses. Here's the truth that separates short-term attraction from lasting impact. Attraction doesn't stay because of excitement. It stays because of emotional safety mixed with polarity. Most people focus on being interesting. Very few focus on being grounded under pressure. And that's what people remember. When emotions rise, when tension appears, when uncertainty enters, your reaction becomes the attraction. If you stay calm when things are unclear, centered when responses slow down, and self-respecting when energy shifts, you don't just keep attraction, you become unforgettable. Now, here's the dark side most never talk about. Attraction amplifies who you already are. If you're insecure, attraction will expose it. If you're grounded, attraction will highlight it. If you seek validation, attraction will drain you. If you value yourself, attraction will orbit you. This is why chasing never works long term, because chasing says, "I need you to feel whole," and nothing kills attraction faster than need disguised as love. The people who are most attractive don't demand attention. They create space for others to step into. They don't rush intimacy. They don't force clarity. They don't collapse when someone pulls back. They observe, they respond, they choose. And here's the final mindset shift. Lock this in. You don't maintain attraction by holding tighter. You maintain attraction by holding yourself, your standards, your emotional pace, your self-respect, your direction. When someone feels that, they don't just feel drawn, they feel safe and challenged. That combination is rare. That's the dark side of attraction. It rewards inner alignment, not emotional performance. If this changed how you see attraction, don't just watch more videos, become the person who doesn't need them to stay. That's where real power lives, and that's where attraction stops being fragile and starts being natural.